Mike, come on, man. Isn't that just a little bit too much of a display? I know you're super excited about having the new SPAM kits, but really? Oh, we couldn't resist. We've been having a lot of fun here, and that's the benefit and the blessing of having a little bit of extra spare time. Hello, everyone. I am Rob Appell from Michael Miller Fabrics. Welcome to Making It Fun. Now, Michael Miller Fabrics recently secured the licensing partnership with the wonderful food group SPAM. And this is kind of fun because we're in the middle of the coronavirus outbreak. And so some folks are stocking up, and Mike thought that SPAM would be important. Of course, if we're going to get into the kitchen, we need to cook with it a bunch, and one of our wonderful kits we have available is a cool apron, because the SPAM fabric actually comes as a flat cotton like you're used to for quilting, or this wonderful lightweight canvas. It's a really nice light. So in your kit, you're going to get a wonderful chunk. It's 1 1/3 yards of the fabric, the canvas, excuse me, the SPAM. That's the word I'm looking for there. And then I've already made the ties. I've already started working on the ties, but it's our beautiful cotton couture, our high density solid from Michael Miller, and you've got enough in there to make your ties, of course, as well. So we're going to dive right in. I want to try to keep this video as short as possible, but we've got some steps to do. So I took my piece of fabric here, and we're going to cut down 2 pieces, and we're going to need 2 pieces. The first piece is the body of the apron, and this is going to be 33 inches across and 35 inches down, and the SPAM print has a very serious direction, so I want you to pay attention. So 33 across the top, 35 inches down, and you're going to have a second piece that will be our pocket piece, and our pocket piece here is going to be 9 inches by 17 inches, and we're going to do a 2-part finishing, and I've already done the first part to this, and I'm going to show you right here now on the big piece of fabric after we cut out the armholes. But basically we're just going to roll an edge to begin with here, and I've already started that on the pocket piece to be. So that's 9 by 17. So we're going to cut out those armholes, and what we're going to really do, and the instructions are right inside of the wonderful package there, and basically we're going to take our rectangle and we're going to fold it in half, and just make sure again that you have the orientation of the print. And as we do that now, we're going to go ahead and measure, and I like to work from the inside or the wrong side. So I'm going to do this now that I know exactly where the top, working from the top edge. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to measure down 11.5 inches from the top edge, so 11.5 inches down, and I'm just going to put a mark, and then I'm also going to measure over from that same corner 10.5 inches, and I'm going to make a mark. And I'm just going to free cut an arc. So if you want to draw that to get it comfortable, first you can. The instructions recommend doing 1 piece at a time. I'm a bit of a rule breaker, you know me, so I'm going to do both pieces at once. And we're just going to do a nice little arc. So I'm going to take my rotary cutter. I'm going to hold the good side here. I'm going to actually drop down about 1/2 inch or so straight first, just to make my sewing life easier. And then just watching over there for that other, my eyeball's looking right at that other mark there. And we're just cutting ourselves a nice little swoop, right? Perfect, easy. If it needs to be a little bit more of an arc, because that's how I feel like it should have been, just take a little bit more of an arc, right? This is the cool thing about freestyle cutting like that. Save your parts and pieces. You never know when somebody a little smaller than you might need an apron as well, right? Okay, so that's super easy. We have both pieces. This is the fit here. And now we're going to go ahead and we're just going to start on the sides, and we're going to do basically the first part of that top stitching. So I have what's called an overcasting foot now on my wonderful new Juki. And so basically I'm going to do just a teeniest little rollover edge. Maybe it's even 1/8 of an edge. And then I'm going to drop my presser foot. And this presser foot has a special bar, so as I begin zigzagging, I'm actually zigging in the fabric and kind of zagging on the other side of that bar to secure my threads. And this is going to kill the raw edge to begin with, and then we're going to do one last seam, so this will be a very washable apron when we're finished. So I'm going to do this basically all the way around, doing the long sides first, then the bottom. We're going to do the arcs, and then we'll do the top. And I'll be right back. 2 sides, now the bottom. As you're doing the curve, let the fabric just twist over as naturally as possible to prevent any odd puckering as you go along the edge there. Two sides, now the top. So once all that top stitching or edge turning is done all the way around on the first round, and you've done it for the body and the pocket, remember, now we're going to switch our presser foot back to our standard presser foot. Go back to our regular straight stitch. And now we're actually going to start on the arcs. And what we're going to do now is we're going to start and we're going to basically roll over a good 1/2 inch and we're going to top stitch this. And so to top stitch it, I want to come back over where that satin stitching or that edge stitching is. That's where the edge, that's where the stitching is going to go, is way over there. So you're going to come over about 1/2 inch, find a nice guide on your plate that you can watch, drop your presser foot. And for this, what I want to do is as I start, I also want to back stitch. I really want to secure this. And I'm going to use my eye as the guide, just keep a nice even seam there. This makes the edge very nice and washable. And as you come up into here, again, we're going to back stitch at the ends of all of these. Now that both sides of the arcs are done, we're going to go ahead and just fold the top down to match and finish off all of the raw edges to make this super washable. Again, back stitching to secure. And coming all the way to that edge now, I'm going to back stitch again. And like I said, that is now finished off all of those raw edges along the sides and the top. We're going to do the same thing to the long sides and then the bottom, and I'll show you how to put on the pocket. Body of the apron is all set other than placing the pocket, but we want to put our straps together first so we can put the pocket right where we want it. We're making a custom apron, right? So let me walk you through how we're going to make the ties or the straps. And again, this is a very basic construction. You know, there's another way we really could have done this just to add something, but in these side straps right here, you could have folded it over even further and we could have run a really long tubing through, but that's more complicated and all that. We want this to be a fun, basic, super simple kit. So this is a very easy way to make the apron. So we're going to use our cotton couture, that's that high density solid, and we're going to need 3 strips that are 3 inches wide each, and they're going to be the whole width of the fabric, the 44-45 inches. Now we're going to do a little bit of pressing. Let me make sure my iron's nice and hot here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to press it in half, because what we're really going to do is we're going to sew these things basically to be about 1/4 the size of this. So I've already finished. We're going to finish all 3 of them independently. We're not going to stitch these together, right? So what we're going to do is clear off a little bit of this space. Iron's nice and hot. And now that I have pressed this to the center, I'm going to open it back up. That was just a marker. And then I'm going to take my edges and I'm going to fold them in, and I'll tell you the secret, kids. What you really want to do is press it almost to that center line, but not all the way up to that center line, because that just kind of makes it a little bit more bulky. So I'm going to work my way all the way down each of those 3-inch strips, folding now to the center. And then we're going to obviously top stitch this to kill that raw edge again. So again, very, very washable. It's an apron. It needs to be washable. If you're going to be out barbecuing your SPAM, you better have a nice apron to keep yourself clean. And now that these raw edges are basically pressed to the middle, I'm going to fold them over one more time as I go to the sewing machine, and I'm just going to press on the very edge. Now, I'm not worrying about this upper raw edge right now, but we will finish the last edge as we go. So the first thing I need to do is I'm just going to go ahead and lower my presser foot, and I'm going to go ahead and start sewing right along the very edge. And we're going to go all the way down the 44 inches, making 3 really great ties. Then as I approach the edge, what I'm going to do is I've got my little scissors handy. I'm going to basically cut off the selvage, maybe cutting about 1/2 inch back from that edge. And then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to take them and I'm going to fold them up underneath. Take them, fold them up underneath, turn them to the inside. And that will finish that outside raw edge. And we'll finish the other side as we adhere it to the apron itself. Back stitch to lock that in really nice. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here and I'm now going to trim off that selvage, leaving a nice, easy, flat little raw edge there. And we're going to go ahead and put in our neck strap. So the first one I'm going to use is I'm going to use the one that's got the finished edge, and I'm going to stitch it right here onto the corner, and I'm just going to make sure that my top stitching faces the inside, right? And then I'm going to come over to the machine. What I want to do is I want to come across that bottom, and then I'm going to back stitch all the way across it, and then forward stitch one more time to make it nice and secure. I'm going to come back up to that top edge now and do the same thing. Forward across. You can see I've got a little thread to cut in a second. Back stitch across to secure. So now that first edge is on. And before we worry about getting it too tidied up here, what we want to do now is we want to see how long we're going to want it for our neck, our shoulder, like this. And then I'm going to give myself 1 thumb's distance, because I don't remember what the instructions say, but it's probably about 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to take this bad boy and I'm going to cut it. I'm going to loop it back around, watching my top stitch edge this way. Then I'm going to fold the raw edge underneath once to hide it, fold it back up right like this, and we're going to catch it as we stitch on this first bottom row. Careful as you slide under the presser foot. All the way across, back it up, and all the way across one more time for nice and secure. Let's just lift our dropped needle and our presser foot. Starting to get the hang of this awesome new Juki. It's got an awful lot of features. I love it. But I haven't memorized where all the buttons are at yet. We're going to back stitch to secure. And now we'll do the same thing with our side ties, but the side ties, we've already finished 1 raw edge. We're just going to leave those nice and long, right? Because different folks need different adjustabilities. So we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to point my stitching down. I'm going to go ahead and just fold under that raw edge. Actually, if you look, and that was actually my selvage and everything. It doesn't matter now because I'm not going to get any stretch there. Coming underneath. Go ahead and secure this and the other side just the same way you finished the neck, and we'll be right back for the pocket. Okay, so As the last tie is on, we're going to want to figure out where we want our pocket now. And again, please make sure that you get your pocket oriented right. So as I said earlier, we've already done the raw stitching. Now I want to make sure I have the top because I've switched out the presser foot. And we're going to fold down about 1 inch or so, like yay. And now I'm going to top stitch this down nice. Make sure you have the direction of the print correct. Okay, so now what we can do is we can figure about where we're going to want the pocket itself, and then we can take the apron off. And what I like to do is I'm just going to go ahead, and I had a little Sharpie here, and I'm going to sneak. I'm going to sneak up underneath here just a little ways, and I'm going to put a marker there, and that's basically where the top end is going to run, but we want to find center. We want to make sure everything looks great. So I'm going to first take my pocket, like yay, and then I'm going to take my apron also and fold it over. And now there's that mark we made. So remember, that's going to be where the center bottom lands. So I've got this also folded here. So I'm just going to kind of line it up. I'm dropping this on to hide that mark. Now that I've found center like this, what I probably should do is grab a couple of straight pins and pinning just through the top layer here and here. We can go ahead now and we can rotate this into the machine and prepare to sew on the bottom row, and then we'll catch our sides and we'll be all done. Never a good idea to sew over pins. Let's pull those out of the way. We're just going to let this feed in nice and evenly. I'm actually using the print of the fabric itself to make sure everything looks nice and straight, and it does, of course. Now technically, as I come to this corner, because I've already come this way, I can now just rotate this. I do want to make sure, again, everything's laying nice and flat, and I can see that in the print. So I can just go ahead and come on up. And as I come to the top edge of this corner, what I want to do is backstitch a couple of times, actually, because this is a pocket. We're going to get a lot of load on this area. So we backstitch, backstitch. Now I'm going to come over to the other side of the pocket. I'm going to start at the bottom corner where the sewing was. Ow, did you see me just poke myself? Why did I do that? So dropping that presser foot again, getting that stitch locked in nice there. And we're just going to go ahead and we're going to top stitch all the way up here. Again, back stitching at the top to secure it nice. I'm still laughing that I poked myself. Well, that's all right. We'll get a little blood on the SPAM apron, of course. It is an apron. That's going to happen anyways. Let's cut these threads and try it on. I'm so excited to show you all what it looks like here. All right, this is it. The big reveal. Bump, ba-da-da. Oh, perfect. And with these ties, what I like to do normally, I actually used to be in the restaurant business, is I like to go around one time here, this way, and then tie it in the back. That way I can actually hang my towel through my straps that way, and it looks fantastic. So this is our wonderful SPAM apron using the canvas fabric from Michael Miller and the cotton couture. Of course, we've got fabulous kits pre-packed and ready to go. And here's what I got to know from you today. In the comments below, please let me know, have you ever even tasted the stuff? Hey, not too shabby, folks. What did you think? If you liked that video, please check out a couple of the other ones we've got here on YouTube for you. Make sure you subscribe. We'll see you in another video real soon.